All right, so let's make sure what we're doing with depth is we don't want this to go off the screen, but I don't want little images like this. So I'm not going to be behind you telling you to increase your depth, okay? So you definitely want to make sure that you get this descending aorta close to the bottom of the screen, okay? Now you can see here that she's breathing. That patients do that. So what I want you to do is gently blow your air out. Just gently blow your air out. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe. Okay? So that's what you need to make sure you're telling your patient. Let's not do in mode, let's do 2D. So gently blow your air out and breathe. Now I always make sure that here's my diastole, make sure my systole looks okay for me to measure it as well. All right? So we don't need to measure the RV here unless we think that it's abnormal. So I'm just going to go straight to my septum, paying attention to my values. Make sure you're measuring basilar. Okay, we don't want to be out here. We want to be close to just off the tips of the mitral. And then when you're measuring the left atrium, you don't want to be on the valve. You see your aortic valve here? You need to measure from the sinus right here. So here's your sinus right here and here, and that's where you want to measure your left atrium. So from your sinus. Blow your air out. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe. Turn up your gain if you can't see your valve, or work with your TGCs. If you can't see that valve, try to bring that valve in a little bit better. It's a little bit snowy. And then keep this image right here and aim up towards the shoulder, and you can rotate a little bit. Blow your air out and hold it and breathe and blow your air out and hold it and breathe. So I clicked too quick. Here's your pulmonic valve here, so pulmonic regurgitation is going to be coming back in this direction. So blow your air out for me again. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe. Good. Okay, so when I rotate around, so I don't want to, like here's my parasternal long axis view. When I rotate around, I make sure that I rotate all the way to the opposite shoulder here. Okay, if I have rotated too much, see how my valve kind of moves in an odd way, and this is kind of oval, or if I've not rotated enough, which is typically the case, same thing, I'm going to be here. So I want to rotate to my mitral valve and make sure that I have an even mitral valve, then I aim up towards my aorta, okay? And then I'm going to just kind of move it around here because I want to be able to see all three leaflets of her aortic valve here. Blow your air out. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe. Blow your air out, and just hold it right there. Good, breathe. And now blow your air out. So you want to show up here, not down here. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe. Good. I just keep color on. Blow out for me. Hold it right there. And breathe. Oops. Yeah, I'm about finished here. Up, move on. Go ahead and blow your air out for me again. Good. Hold that right there. And breathe. Good. I think it's this one that I bought. Chilly, chilly up underneath your breast here, real cold. Lift your legs for me. There we go, good. Real cold. Ooh, I started down there at your liver, sorry about that. Okay, scoot a little bit more towards you. There we go. Okay, so I do want to focus on my chamber sizes, but I also want to focus on my heart wall as well. So I am going to try to see if I can get that in. Now, I don't focus on all of them at the same time. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing my colors and Dopplers. Okay, so I'm going to, even though I don't like this 4 for my wall segments, it's not bad for my color and Doppler. All right, let's deal with this. Go ahead and blow your air out. Hold it, hold it, hold it, breathe. Make sure you're covering that interatrial septum and that you cover the whole part of the chamber there. Hold your breath. Good. All right. So E to A, E, deceleration. So here you want to be kind of over to the side here because this leaflet's a little bit longer. Can you see too? Okay. And then here you want to be in the center of your leaflets here. Just hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath, and breathe. So when I have her hold her breath, see how they kind of even out? So remember to go to this tricuspid E velocity. I'm just going to go ahead and measure this one right here. I think that's just an artifact right there. And I'm getting a little bit higher, but that's okay. It's 0.3 to 0.7, but 0.9 or 1.0 is okay for tricuspid. All right, so now what I like to do, and again, you don't have to do this, but I like to make it bigger. And I like to put on a color here. All right, let's see here. It's a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can find it. Find something different. I don't want to go too foreshortened with her image. Okay, so the focus is we want to make sure now this is papillary muscle in here, but we do want to make sure we're focusing on this wall, the endocardium. So you do want to look at the endocardium. So I'm trying to pay attention to like markers. So like here is a marker for my wall here. And just because I know my wall is thick, the same thickness, then I would just kind of come down like that. That would be my papillary muscle as well. But we don't always get, the best image for measuring. So I'm going to measure right there. I'm using this as a marker right here too. There's my marker there, so I'm just going to kind of go over that. And see how I'm paying attention to the gray and not the brightness right there and not the brightness right here? Because I do have, I need to enter. I do have endocardium and myocardium. So now squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Okay, so I would probably go back and measure that, remeasure that. So this is what I would do in the field. So let me just show you. Because I know she has a better than 58. So when I do this a second time, and you guys don't have to for unless it's really bad, then you want to redo it. I'm trying to measure a little bit smaller here. I don't know if I measured smaller. I'm going to go ahead and store that just to see, and then I'm going to go to my worksheet. I'm going to go to my page change, and I'm going to delete this one out right here. And then I got a worse fractional shortening. So I would even do it again until I get a better one. So what I need to do is I need to measure her smaller. So let me go back to, let me take worksheet off. Don't go back to your 2D because it takes it off. So let me measure again here. And I would just delete that other one that I had out, meaning the systole. take a picture of this, go back to your worksheet. That's gonna be better. Oop. Update, delete value, there we go. So then I would take a picture of this, okay? So then when I went to my, and you can do it now or you can do it, so I'm gonna delete this one because that was a mistake there. Delete. And I'm gonna delete this one. There. And then now we have the EF up there for the physician. Okay. All right, so now let's go to our left atrial volume, and we want to make sure we open that up. So see how I'm opening that left atrial volume up? And here we want to be really tight to this wall. Don't go into the pulmonary vein. See how I'm getting 27? Sometimes you guys are getting like 9. You want to get somewhere around 30 because remember you're putting it over the body surface area. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit more lateral. And try to get this right heart in a little bit more. Scoot a little bit closer to me. Oh, there we go. Good. And she can feel that I press, and then when I am done with the image, I release, and that's what's going to help your arm as well. All right, so measuring dimension, come down here to the bottom, and we want the base to be greater than the mid. So remember we've got the endocardium there, so there's my base. There's my mid, and I would say somewhere about right there is my apex. Okay, so usually when I do my Dopplers, I do my tissue Doppler, but I forgot, so then you can go back. And as I was measuring those, I was thinking, okay, was there anything else that I didn't get? And I remembered that I didn't get my tissue Doppler. Was it on vivid or medium? I think it was on vivid, yeah. So you want to be right on that annulus there. All right, so even if you want to go up here and say, okay, did I get everything? Where's my trackball? Trackball, I'm hitting the wrong thing, that's why I'm hitting update menu. All right, apical 4, wrong way. Okay, color, color, Doppler, Doppler, EF, left atrial volume, right ventricle, tissue Doppler, and that should be it. I think that's it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now I'm just focusing on the valve and color. I can't see a real good picture of my wall, so I'm going to focus on that in just a minute. I don't know why, but my eyes just see better in this blue.
Yeah, I think it helps.
Yeah. All right, so I need to remember what I got before, which was about 67. So I don't want to get anything grossly off of that unless I think that I have an inferior wall motion abnormality. You see a little bit more papillary muscle in this view, so it tends to appear narrower. Okay, good. So 74 there, so I got a 69 biplane. Now the other thing you want to pay attention to is what I've got. Did I take a picture of that? I darn sure did not. Hang on. There we go. What I got in my diastole for the length is, I guess maybe I didn't take a picture of diastole there. So then I would go back and I would do the whole thing over again. In fact, I'm gonna do the whole thing over again so I can show you guys what we need to do. So I like to delete my pictures before I even go. That's just, some people delete them at the end. I like to delete them now. And this is what you have to do in the clinic when you make this mistake. It's okay. Page change. Here's my apical 2. And I'm going to delete value. Okay. Oop. All right, so what I was going to talk to you about was looking at your EF. Let's see where I measure my EF here. Here we go. So see how I got here 5.5? I need to be within 0.5 of that, okay? Meaning my length. That means that I haven't come down any further. I'm not foreshortened. So I do look at that when I am measuring again. And I'm probably not going to go up as high as I did before, because I think I got 7 last time and I need to be within. See how I got a little bit higher than that? The physician would really, if it were a very, very particular physician, they would question whether it was accurate or not, because I am on a different axis and I'm on a longer axis. This is probably more accurate than that other short axis at 5.5. I'm probably a little bit foreshortened there. Are you breathing or am I moving?
You're moving.
Okay. All right, let's see what we got. So I got biplane of 62, so here's my apical 2 at 64. So I got 63 and 64. Now, how I got 62, because it takes the average, I have no idea, because the average of that would be 63.5, but, so you would want to take a picture here. I'm I'm not giving you guys much time to scan, but y'all can scan in your own time. I think this is important to kind of go over what we need to be focusing on. So what we want to focus on here is bringing in this left atrium. So make sure the right side is gone from here. Like that right there, you haven't rotated enough. You need to rotate a little bit more so you can get that right side out of the picture. And this is the appendage coming in here, but we want to make sure that we don't include that. All right, so measure left atrium, apical 2. Okay, so my left atrial index here is 22. So that's what you want to see. So it took this volume and put it over the body surface area. All right, now for the apical 3, I do want to go back and change my colorization. One of the things that I see that we're doing for the apical 3 is not rotating enough. So here I'm at the 2. If I aim up, see how my aorta comes in? Well, I want to keep my mitral, keep my mitral, keep my mitral, continue to rotate, and that's where you want your apical 3 to be. You want to see this long aorta here, and what's happening is we're not rotating enough to be able to see that.
Do you need to do a 5 first?
Oh, I do. Good grief, I'm glad you're behind me here with, I obviously didn't look at the protocol myself. So apical 5 here, I hadn't done this in a while, that's my problem, is that I need to get on this transducer a little bit more. So apical 5, oop, not cursor, color. I like to elongate my color here. So about this time, my physician is probably, you forgot to do an aorta. And then I would say, you just keep going. It's there. Sometimes they go so fast through these things that you really have to, I've kind of put a highlighter marker on that says, read this slow. So let's just say I was in the middle of my 2 and I realized that I forgot the 5 at that particular time. Finish doing everything on your 2 and then go back and do the 5. You don't want to do like some measurements in the 2 and then go back and do the 5 and then go back to the 2. Because at that time the physician's focusing on the, why do I have that I've already measured that? Did I do that? And yeah, how did it come up? Why did it even come up? I'm just gonna go ahead and go over here. Lordy B, y'all do not follow your instructor. Why did it come up? I'm on pulsed wave. So it shouldn't even come up if I'm on pulsed wave. Okay, so LVOT has to be in pulsed wave. Think, Christy, think. All right, so now what I have to do is I have to go back to here and I have to take this first one out, which was an aortic measurement. So I'm gonna have to take this out. Some days there are days like this that I'm like, good grief. And when I'm constantly going back and cleaning up my study, and then there's some days that it's like, it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna take that other one out in just a minute after I clean this up. Oh, that's what it was. It only shows the
Yeah.
aorta in continuous wave. So be careful not to do that like your teacher did. Make sure you hit LVOT. I don't think anybody did that from the final, or on their midterm anyway. All right, so just because I like to get it out before, I've had a few physicians that have wanted to read real quick, and I haven't taken out my ugly images, and that's why I like to do it before I even quit. All right, so now the 3. So all the way around, there we go. So make sure you're covering aorta and mitral. Hold it. Hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath. Good, good. Okay, and so last thing, we've done really good on our suprasternal notches, but what we need to do is also, is focus on our IVC, because we're not capturing that. Let me get your hair out of the way. We're not capturing that sniff unless we have some assistance from me, and again, I'm not going to be there, okay? So, hold in your belly here. All right, deep breath in and hold it for me. Breathe. Come down a little bit lower here. All right, deep breath in and hold it. Good. All right, breathe normal. And now deep breath in and hold it. Deep breath in. So I want to make sure I'm not looking at my aorta, that I'm looking at my inner atrial wall. Breathe. Deep breath in and hold it. So see how I aimed away from the aorta? I want to increase my color gain a little bit. And breathe. Good. Let me know if I'm pushing too hard on your belly. I'm a hard pusher. I think that's the hepatic coming in, and I think this is her IVC. I think she just got a really small IVC. All right, sniff for me. Good. All right, now hold that. See how I want to be able to see that I captured that sniff. So if you'll see that she sniffed, and then I held it for a second or two and then took it again. All right, so let's do that again so that you can see. She's just got a real tiny IVC. So Tiara, if you're scanning her, that she's tiny there with her IVC. That's just her anatomy. All right, so sniff for me. See how it collapses? And then see how I stored for a couple of seconds, but I want to make sure that I capture that sniff there. I already captured one, so I'm not going to capture it again. All right, and then last thing here. All right, so I'm going to take this out. You just lift your head. There we go. You just lay it right here on your legs. And then just look at me if you'll look towards me. So see how I'm playing with the TGCs and trying to work and get the images in a little bit better. Okay? So that's what we need to do. Let's look at these. All right? So parasternal long axis. What I want to try to do is get the tips of my mitral valve right here so that I can see a little bit of my aorta and I can see a good bit of my left ventricle as well, okay? I can even probably rock that in just a little bit more. But you definitely want to make sure you're seeing that aortic valve open. That's what I see a lot of people doing in their PLA. They have that tricuspid valve kind of coming in. And so here's where your PLA image is, and you know to get to your tricuspid, you aim this way. To get away from your tricuspid, you aim the opposite, okay? And so you want to make sure you have that aortic valve coming in. And then you're measuring. Remember, we're going to measure basilar. We're not measuring mid or out here at the apex. You need to measure basilar. And if you're not, then that's just a few points off. But these are where I'm going to be being a stickler for making sure that we're measuring properly. Leading edge to leading edge for aorta. Basilar here. Make sure it's hard to see. Sometimes it runs into the chordae tendineae. Make sure you pay attention to that muscle coming up and contracting, and this is going to be your systole. Measure in the sinus area for your left atrium, leading edge to leading edge. Color. Inflow, make sure you can see that tricuspid valve leaflet. If you can't, turn up your gains. Color, cover the whole right atrium. Outflow, it doesn't have to be real pretty. Some people don't have good outflows. Here, I want the focus to be on seeing all three cusps of your aorta. If you need to zoom in so that you can see all three cusps, if you can't see it in this particular image, then please do so. Color of the tricuspid, make sure you're covering the interatrial septum, color of the aorta, color of the aorta, color of the pulmonic, and then pulmonic continuous wave with the trace. Short axis of the mitral, short axis of the LV. Apical 4, color, peak velocity or EF of the mitral valve. So E, decel, A, peak velocity of the tricuspid. EF, and then I showed the EF. So if you redo it, make sure you go to your worksheet and you show what your EF is here, okay? Left atrial volume, right ventricle size measurements, tissue Doppler. I should have gone to an apical 5, but here's the 2, color, EF, and left atrial volume. So see how I did this? My physician doesn't even know that I made any mistake. And then back to the apical 5. That should be, of course, right after the 4. And make sure when you make these changes, make sure that it says the right thing there. Because sometimes you accidentally delete the wrong thing. And what you want to do is double click on it and make sure that that's the one if you can't remember which one it is. Aorta velocity, apical 3, color, subcostal, color, increase your color with that subcostal. IVC, sniff, and collapse, suprasternal notch. Okay? Will you hand me some paper?